to go through that also. This is also happening in journalism. This kind of things are happening. So ethics means everything comes. Basically, it is not only giving false stories or hiding something. Sometimes authentic stories are given, but only from one side. So journalists are also becoming fronts for many politicians and many business houses on all these things. Corporate culture is not there so much in Goa, so we are quite lucky that way. Okay, except maybe some 5-star hotels.
Corporate is not retail.
Yeah, and mining companies own. They own all the newspaper and channel. What? I am working for a channel which is owned by mining people. That's why I said there are a lot of limitations. So one, I feel that basically, if I judge journalists nowadays this way, that if a ruling party politician I met and he says that journalist is like this, or that newspaper or that channel is like this, and then after some days if I met the opposition person and he also says that journalist is like this and that sort of, then I realize that this fellow must be very good. So that is the way nowadays we judge the journalist, and I think that is a certificate. A gali from politicians, from all the politicians, is the best certificate for a journalist, I feel. But basically what is required, I said today, it is not a mission, we work as employees, and it's very difficult to work and struggle. I have struggled in Konkani newspaper for 3-4 years, and we immediately, which is the best newspaper today, or which is the largest circulated newspaper,
Sandesh
is the one which is sold for 1 rupee.
No.
1 rupee, or they give some bags, they give some, along with the listing, they give your newspaper subscription is 200 rupees and you get a bag worth 500 rupees. And that becomes the largest circulated newspaper. How does it become largest circulated newspaper? Who supports it? Who supports this whole unethical game? Who is involved in this unethical game? The reader. And the same reader then when time comes and said that you are doing something unethical. What I do does not matter. So good newspapers, good journalists are not supported, basically, and that is becoming a problem. And on the other hand, sometimes because of political things, here also it might have happened, it happens to everybody. Sometimes I feel that we are like prostitutes. Especially the people in political journalism or business journalism, they are like prostitutes. A prostitute doesn't like to sleep with anybody, but you have to sleep with everybody whether you like it or not. Like that, if somebody calls me up and he says that, okay, see, this is the thing I am doing, I said, okay, very good, okay, I will cover it, I will do it. I speak all these things for me. It does not matter what I do in reality. Maybe little bit I will do, everything I may not do, but that person is important for me because that person is my source. So I have to rely on that source, so I don't totally displease him. I take little, I don't take everything. What I do is not important, but only if that conversation is recorded tomorrow and see that this fellow is pleasing everybody and this fellow listen to these tapes. So sometimes tapes is not a foolproof thing, I feel, because we talk to people like that. Because they are our sources and all, and we don't say anything, to them, okay, no, I am not going to publish your thing, I am not going to do this and all. I say, okay, you send it, I will see what I can do about it. Sometimes good you are doing this, and then I try to take out some more information from him by pleasing him. That is the way we behave and we talk to our people, our sources or anybody. If somebody records it tomorrow and says that see this fellow is doing, and then you will say that there is the ethics in journalism are in danger. So these were some of my stray thoughts I feel, and the only solution I feel for this is that I have not lost hopes. And I am not saying that I am the only sincere person and others are not. In journalism, there is another problem which is coming up everywhere, not only in Goa, everywhere. Everybody thinks that I am the only sincere person and everybody else is insincere. I don't think so. I think that I am sincere and you are also sincere. Then the sinceres can come together and do something about it. So there is a problem within. There is a problem outside. The problem within is among the journalists who feel that I am the only sincere person and all others are rogues. The reader thinks that I should buy a newspaper which is the cheapest, no matter what they write. So there is a problem outside. There is an outside problem also against where management start all these newspapers and media houses for a business. They employ us as employees, and then everybody wants us to, do everything very ethically and all these things. So these are the problems I feel. Thank you.
Sandesh has taken the route of using circumstances to justify violation of media ethics. I don't quite agree with his views on that. But do you all need to cap up on what they have said, or you all have? I think you all have registered what each one has said. I only rule that I have not got an opportunity to say something. I've been in journalism for 19 years, all of it except 6 months in Bombay, all of it in Goa. I worked in all 3 English newspapers in Goa. Right now I work for the Kamat Times as its news editor. On this media ethics, I personally have very, very strong views, and I have throughout my career written about it in my columns. I've got a lot of brickbats for that from colleagues, from managements. Last week in my Tuesday column I wrote about the paid news and the Rozario tapes issue, where I said that I was surprised by the tone of surprise from the Vinod Mehtas and the N. Rams and the M.J. Akbars on this whole Rozario tape issue. I think they betrayed the reality in journalism in India by showing in their reactions a tone of surprise. These unethical things are happening day in and day out in the media, and that's the truth. Paid news was broken on the national level by P. Sainath after the Maharashtra elections. After one of Ashok Chavan's opponents filed a petition in the Aurangabad bench of the Bombay High Court challenging his election because he had almost every newspaper in Maharashtra have positive news about him published. But paid news was happening right here in Goa 2 years earlier. In the run-up to the 2007 elections, 2 out of the 3 English newspapers carried news analysis by unknown writers. News analysis of election prospects in particular constituencies by unknown writers. Now if that was not evidence of paid news, what was? And no editor in Goa prevented that from happening or even attempted to prevent that from happening. I mean, if the editor can't decide what goes in the newspaper, and mind you, on the front page of the newspaper, then what is he the editor for? It suddenly cropped up in our newspaper one night, and as news editor, I checked the pages, and suddenly I had this huge advertisement in the form of news. It suddenly came up on the page which we had not even put it through the processes. And then I called up the editor at 11:30 in the night and I said, this is what has happened and I can't let it go. I'm going to remove it and put something else. So then the editor called up, and the editor had the guts to tell the management that as long as my name appears there as the editor in the news, in the print line of the newspaper, ad will be an ad and news will be a news. And it was removed. And I wrote about that also last week in black and white with names. Who was the editor, who did it? He is no longer the editor now. So paid news was happening in Goa before it happened at the national level, or it came out in the national. And I think we journalists have a huge responsibility, more than, as Sandesh was saying, the audience, to correct what is going wrong in the media. I think we journalists have a huge responsibility, and for me, in journalism, in the profession of journalism, integrity is like virginity. You do it once, you lose it all. You can't do it once and say I'm 99% a virgin and 1% not a virgin. You do it once, you lose it all. I think we journalists have this huge responsibility to kind of, on a day-to-day basis, prevent unethical things and unethical works from getting into, at least in the print media. I've been all my life in the print media. At least in the print media, let things that we know are unethical from going into the paper. That's all I have to say.
I think I'll throw the
Floor open to questions. I think people can.
Oscar Menon. For the last 40 years, I've actually worked as a journalist in New York. I've been in Goa for a year and a half writing a book. And as it happens, I'm now writing about the paid news thing. So this is very, it's like having a panel just researching for me. So one question I would have for Mr. Kamat is why in a situation like this don't Indian journalists organize? Because everyone sees the problem. The only defense against contract labor of the type that you described is to organize. I mean, you say that unions are done with. On the contrary, it's a great opportunity for unions. Because if you unionize across India, the owners will be helpless. Because if you call a strike, if a journalist call a strike, the Times of India can't appear. If they have paid news, if they have treaties, if they have private treaties, it won't work. So the only defense against this is organizing journalists. And in fact, putting out a declaration on the net that this is what we believe in.
Could be like that. In reality, it doesn't take place. Now, you see, maximum papers, they don't go by this working journalists. Journalists are hired on contract. And smaller the paper, they are...
No, I don't like
I'm
that.
telling you, who will organize into trade union?
That's
Trade
precisely my
unions
point.
are becoming redundant.
No, that's precisely my point, is that they should not become redundant. It is in fact the opportunity for trade unions to spread. Because every journalist sees the danger in this.
No, journalists see danger what? You have now in Goa, maximum almost originally local newspapers had this working journalists, that is wage board employees. Now, from Hindu, I am a wage board journalist who is heading the union. But the situation is today our membership itself, more than say 50%, 60-70% will be contractual workers. That too, who can be just, I told you, there are no appointment letters. If I give a call and try to mobilize them, next day they are thrown out. So they don't, nobody...
What is saying, don't bring out the paper, throw the newspaper out.
There is no question of not bringing newspapers. All newspapers will come out if we give up one of them.
Absolutely, the demand is what the
Yeah.
more journalists.
No, Mr. Bhaskar, I'll tell you how it happens also. If I am a journalist and I am a regular employee as per the wage board, I am paid 15,000 rupees. The management tells me that from tomorrow you are going to be on contract.
Then you accept.
Okay, I am going to pay you 30,000. Yes, that's what's happening.
No, I quite
So it is double.
I quite understand.
Double you get. So who will come for your protest?
I quite understand what you're saying. But what is, all of us are aware, no matter how much money we make or don't make, we are aware that there is an ethical problem here. That paid news.
Money trumps ethics.
No, then you
No,
can't
that is
argue.
another thing.
I think your basic premise is wrong. How did the page news phenomenon start? It started with journalists themselves taking money to take print news. Now, when that happened, for a long time, the owners said, why should the journalists make money? I should make money on it. So it started like that, and then the owners sort of kept it and made it official by passing the journalists. And there are lots of regional papers in India, especially vernacular editions, where unfortunately even the journalists are given mandates to get advertisement. So when they are getting the mandate,